This video explains why Donald Trump was absolutely right to oppose the publication of the Jeffrey Epstein files, and how people like Tony Blair, how people like Bill Clinton, how people like all of the Democrat leadership and many of the people that you've heard of, people like Peter Mandelson, those establishment lefties, are going to not get away with anything, but not be properly criminally investigated for the allegations against them, which may or may not be true, but also ought to be investigated. This video is going to go through some legal technicalities, but don't worry, it's going to be really, really easy to understand. And I guarantee you, as I always try and do with all of my videos, that by the end of it, you'll be able to go to the pub this weekend and explain to your friends and family why this Epstein thing is so important, why Donald Trump's point is so important. And I'm also going to give you a name that you've never heard before: Clay Higgins. Congressman Clay Higgins, completely obscure, the one person who voted against the publication of the Epstein file. I'm going to explain why Congressman Higgins did that and why Congressman Higgins is absolutely right. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, please do hit the bell notification icon. It's the most important way to guarantee that you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Okay, so what we have to do first of all is talk about Virginia Roberts Giuffre. She is the lady who accused Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And she was clearly somebody of colossal moral courage to have been treated in the way that she was treated, and to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And I think when this story is told, in fact, actually, I was about to say when this story is told, the story is already being told, that those perpetrators in the United States of America who thought they'd got away with it were stopped by the fact that Virginia Roberts Giuffre in Australia was able to galvanise the British media to take action on Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Peter Mandelson, and indeed Ghislaine Maxwell. Remember, the only three people who've got into trouble for Jeffrey Epstein so far, apart from Jeffrey Epstein himself, are British. And that has started the ball rolling. And remember, Virginia Roberts Giuffre's brother appeared on the television thanking King Charles for the fact he's taken action. Now, remember, in this country, we're sat there going, oh my God, this is terrible. The royal family have let us down. In America, nothing has happened. Now, Virginia Roberts Giuffre, in her book, praised Donald Trump. You will not see that in the mainstream media. You will not read about it in even the right-wing press, but she did. She met Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell through Mar-a-Lago, that great estate in Florida that was originally donated to the American Republic to be a White House in Florida, but later was sold off, fell into wreck and ruin, and bought by Donald Trump, and now has kind of returned to that status. Her father worked there, and she worked there as a teenage waitress, masseuse, whatever. When she explained to Donald Trump what Jeffrey Epstein was like and what he was up to, he expelled Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. Now, Donald Trump has been exonerated by the witness, the victim, who knows more about this than anybody else. So, what do you do now if you are Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton visited the island of Little St. James and attended on the, well, I'll use the word Lolita Express, that crass and disgusting name for the plane that flew from I think Florida to Little St. James, but it was Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. Peter Mandelson also spent time with Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor went to Little St. James, and there's the question about Tony Blair, which is this: in the book that Virginia Roberts Giuffre wrote, it described in every other country that a former prime minister was implicated. In Britain, it said a former minister. Now, that doesn't make Tony Blair guilty of anything. But here's the important point. We know now that there are lots and lots of people who committed horrendous trafficking offences and who behaved in all sorts of ways in order to carry the favor, in order to gain the favour of Jeffrey Epstein. Who are they? And when will they be properly investigated? Well, let me now tell you about Congressman Clay Higgins, who says the following. Listen, if you publish the names of all of these people, it's just an avalanche of names. That will include names of people that Jeffrey Epstein met, names of people in his phone book, along with people who actually committed wrongdoing. And what does that do? It does two things. Point number one, it muddies the water so much. I mean, if there are 1,000 names, 2,000 names, 3,000 names, even 500 names, it means the people who've really done wrong are diluted massively, because you just go, well, every famous person's been mentioned, and that causes a problem. Secondly, it's massively prejudicial. So imagine every newspaper in the world had accused you of being on Jeffrey Epstein's island, and then you attempt to go in front of a jury. Your lawyers would legitimately argue that the jury have been prejudiced. That's going to be a major problem. So do you see the point that's developing here? Point number one, Donald Trump is innocent, and demonstrably innocent. Point number two, there are loads and loads and loads of names of irrelevant people on the list. That muddies the water and just creates lots of smokescreen for those people who are actually guilty. And even those people who are actually guilty will now be able to say it's massively prejudicial. Look, you know, Bill Clinton's never been convicted of a crime, and neither has Tony Blair. We've all heard rumours about the two of them, and there have also been very specific allegations against Bill Clinton. I'm not asking for you to go to the pub this weekend and say Tony Blair is the Prime Minister mentioned in Virginia Roberts Giuffre's book. I don't think that's fair. I think what you ought to be saying is, let's have that investigation. Let's support the FBI, who are still pretty good at their jobs. Let's support American prosecutors. Let's not destroy their investigation before it begins. And so to me, I sit there and I understand what people are saying. I understand the need for openness and transparency, but that comes from a prejudice based on the fact that they have been so flannelled, so ignored for so many years. But the world has changed. King Charles changed the world by throwing out his own brother. King Charles changed the world by throwing out Peter Mandelson. Now, whatever you say about King Charles, and a lot of you don't like him, there's no doubt now those people accused in the United States of America can't simply walk away and ignore the allegations in the way they did before. And Donald Trump knows that. Donald Trump knows that he's been exonerated. He knows about the haze, and he knows about the prejudice. And I guarantee you that the publication of the Epstein files, which is now required, not just by law, but in the court of public opinion, is going to absolutely undermine the case of those women and girls that are making allegations. And that is the major concern here. I will tell you, if you watch the BBC, if you watch ITV, if you watch Channel 4, if you watch Sky News, they do not mention that Donald Trump was fully exonerated in that book. They won't mention it. And what they will do is they will talk about the fact that Jeffrey Epstein sent emails, apparently, allegedly, saying that he had compromising photos of Donald Trump. Look, Donald Trump being photographed with birds in bikinis, he used to run the Miss World competition or whatever it was. The man likes attractive women. Have you seen Melania? I mean, honestly, she's crazy good looking. I mean, she's been rebuilt, but she's crazy good looking. So fine, that's not the same as the allegations in the Epstein files. What Epstein has done is very, very simply this. He has sought to blackmail people with the use of child offences. Now, with some people he succeeded, with others he didn't succeed. In the case of Donald Trump, he got thrown out of Mar-a-Lago. I worry about this. I now agree with Donald Trump that the publication of the Epstein files, whilst he accepted, he had to do it and he released his members. I'll explain what that is in a minute. But he maintains that releasing the files is a Democrat trick to get them and their friends off the hook. And I think he's right. And just to explain, there is a whipping system in America. It's not the same as the United Kingdom. But when the president says to Republican congressmen and Republican senators, vote to release this, they are going to do it, even though it's a problem. Donald Trump and Clay Higgins have said that this is prejudicial. They've said it will undermine the investigation, and they've said that it will let people off the hook. And so you're going to ask me finally, why is it that everybody disagrees with Donald Trump and everybody disagrees with Clay Higgins? Well, it's very simply this. You know, if you're a woman who's been a victim of this, and you have seen the redacted notes, and you've seen the threats, and you've seen the powerful people, what you are thinking is that America will be like Britain. If you just get the names out there, then action will be taken. But America's not like Britain. The legal environment is entirely different. And I believe that this publication will get people off the hook. I believe that Donald Trump and his team now in the Justice Department, a team he appoints but doesn't directly manage, I believe that they're the right people to take this forward. And we will find out whether Jeffrey Epstein, and this is the central question, by the way, whether Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA or Mossad agent who, when he left office or left his position, became a rogue like Vladimir Putin, Sergei Lavrov, and the people that have now taken down Russia. In the fullness of time, we will see whether I'm right or wrong, but I think it's an important investigation. And I will tell you one thing. If my name was on the Epstein list, and I think fairly obviously it's not, you can believe that or you don't. If my name was on that list, I would want the FBI to properly investigate me in the knowledge that I would be fully exonerated. That is, by the way, what Andrew Mountbatten Windsor originally said he'd do, and he's still a fool to not do it. Until next time, goodbye.